Hello, Chocy Chat. It's episode 181. It's the 30th. I was going to say the 30th of June. It's the 30th of May. It's not the 30th of June. We're halfway through the year. We are. It's getting warmer and it's getting lighter and it's getting more and more difficult to make chocolate. It is for me anyway. Although lots of teaching, lots of normal stuff. But hello. Oh, it's Friday. It's come around already, isn't it? I look a mess this week. I tell you, I have not stopped and I've not had time to do any of the things that I wanted to do. So, Karen, I can see. Alice, had a really nice meeting with Alice the other day. Really lovely to meet. It's lovely to meet so many people in Chocy Chat. I have to say, it's absolutely fantastic. Grange Chocolates, they're doing some nice things, aren't they? Mo the Baker, how are you? Ryan there, Truffalus is all doing good. Dolce Mara there in South Africa, hello. Chocolates by Sea, I think you are in Sweden. Could be in Denmark. Isle Bakes on the Isle of Wight. How's everybody doing? Is everybody good? Zaid, Zen, Jordan. Ziad is the girls' swim teacher, Jordan. Told everybody a story about that. We paid for the girls to do swimming at school. 3 years, we went to a swimming pool, they went in, they all sank. It's like, wow. Anyway, they have a swim teacher, 3 days, start to finish, they could swim. Good evening. It's in Stockholm, so you are definitely in Sweden. Nikki Parsons, I can see. Stuart, Blind Chocolatier, Paula's there. Did everybody see Paula's afternoon tea? It's really nice. Dolce Mara saying hello, Chocy Chat crew. Nikki's there. Leanne, I can see. Lonely Larson, hello. Genevieve, welcome. Ross Lags Chocolate, hello. Thank you for joining us. If you've got questions, fire away. I think it's that time of year. I did a little post earlier today. Did 2 posts earlier today. One was stories. That was as far as I got with chocolate making this week. There's a couple of other bits and pieces here, but it's like, right, I've got a couple of hours. I'm going to do some stuff. No, that fell by the wayside. It got a little bit busy. The orders started coming in. It's like, right, I often send things out on that particular day, or yesterday it was. It's normally quite slow, and yeah, that's as far as I got. One I painted 5 stripes on a mould. That was it. That's as far as it got. Oh dear me. Let me say some hellos quickly. Purely complimentary. Hello. Jennifer Briggs, I'm good, thank you. Carol's there. Hello, Carol. Are they pre-tempered? Colours? Yes, they are. Tempered by me. I get this question a lot, and I saw a post about this the other day. I'm going to answer this one, and it was about why would you bother tempering the colours if you then tell people to melt them and then put them into another dish? Here's the thing: if I filled the bottles, let's do that one, soft thing. If I filled the bottle and I didn't temper it, it would be stuck to the side, and when it travels, it gets in a real mess. Some people melt the bottle a little bit and give it a shake, and that works for them. Nothing wrong with that. It's not hugely accurate in my personal opinion. It's tempered so that it's absolutely solid. If I didn't temper it, this would be soft and squashy, and there is a danger that if the cap comes off and it warms up, it will just. It's also, when it's tempered, it's much more stable, as in it's a bit more heat proof, right, in terms of travel. So. Go back to a post a while ago where I talked about the 6 crystals. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Crystals 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fats and sugars, generally fats that are in cocoa butter as well, and they are crystals that will form. So crystal 1, 2, 3, and 4. They all melt below 29 degrees. They all melt really. I mean, one of them melts as low as 21.3. So they melt at a very low temperature. Whereas the beta 5 crystal, it melts. Actively starts melting at 33.8. However, this forms the 6th crystal, and it takes quite a lot of energy to melt these. You're going to need 36 degree heat to get that whole bottle melted. So if you left that in 36 degree heat, the whole bottle would melt. If you left it in 33 degree heat, unlikely that you'd melt all this. It'd probably just go squashy or soft. So there's a couple of reasons that we temper them. One, it makes a better product for me in terms of like visual. until it's just a bit more stable when we post it, because it goes off kind of all over the world, from Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and all the way across to Alaska. It's literally everywhere in the world now. When you do use it though, you do need to melt it. I don't know how high temperature you're going to melt it to, so you melt it, you put it into a little tub. Put it into a little tub, melt what you need. If you weren't going to shell a whole mould, why would you melt a whole bottle, right? Tip out what you need, melt it, melted's melted. You can't guarantee what temperature it got to all the way through that process, so melted's melted. Put some into a little tub, balance it over cold water, and you're going to stir it. And once you reach 26, it's ready to use. If you need to warm it up slightly, just be very, very gentle that you don't damage the beta crystals that you formed, tempering it as it cools down. And that kind of answers that. There's also a YouTube video that I did, the one that I did with Thermapen. I didn't realise they posted it on their channel, and I posted it, and they're like, "What? Took your time, James. Busy boy." So that answers that one. But they are tempered, and if you're very careful when you melt them, you'll probably be able to keep them in temp as well. So. Hello everybody from a sizzling Florida where it's 36°C with 85% humidity. Right, Leanne, I think it's fair to say that you're not doing chocolate unless you're in an air-conditioned room, right? So, hola from Florida, hello. 36-degree heat. I'm quite happy to make chocolates in the room here if we're at 20, 24, 25 degrees. It doesn't bother me at all. It's when the humidity goes up. You know, the stopping point for me is when it's sustained 75%. Any more than that, I just know that we start having problems with bloom. They don't cool quickly. We can always circulate some air, but like if the outside humidity is sustained at 75%, yeah, knock it on the head, pack everything up, put it all away, get a cold drink, sit in a hammock, and enjoy my life not as a chocolatier. Luckily where I live, it's not hugely warm, and the humidity, despite the sea being 150 meters that way, the humidity, like, it's controllable here, so it's all good. Philip Vieira is in Austria. Hello. How can I buy your colours? I have a business in Stockholm. You can order direct from us. We ship to all EU countries. Some are more problematic than others in terms of delivery. I can tell you the Sweden and Denmark seem to have like it gets there 3-4 days start to finish, right? There are other countries in the EU where it's just really slow, right? But yeah, you can order direct from us. We send lots to Stockholm, we send lots to Malmo, we send lots to Sweden, and Norway, and Finland, and Estonia, and all over the EU. I think one of the few countries you don't ship to, unfortunately, is France. France has got some within the EU. Within the EU, there are countries that have their own rules within the EU, and France is notoriously difficult. For me to ship to France, I would need to have an office in France, believe it or not. None of the other countries follow this suit, but France, yeah, I would need to have an office in France and pay VAT tax in France to be able to ship to France. So why would I move there to be able to ship there? If I was going to move there and open an office there, I'd take the products there, wouldn't I, right? Crazy. So all the others pretty, you know, we do ship to. So Creative Confection saying hello to everybody. How's everyone's experience been with the chocolate stamps? God, you've opened a can of worms there, Amara. People had some real challenges with the stamps. This is where the type A, B, C come in, right? I was chatting to Louis about this the other day. I was chatting to Chris Harvey about this as well, actually, same conversation, because he's like, that is genius. And it was just before he went to the summit in Dublin, right? So yeah, Chris and Louis, both same thing. They're like, what is the type A, B, C? The problem that people have had with them is they can't regulate the temperature that they're putting the silicone stamp on. And I've spoken to Paul at Made Chocolates. Marissa and I had a brief chat, I think, about this as well. There's a couple of other people that make or started making them. The trick is that if you spray a type A, which is the fat soluble translucent, so off the top of my head, Rari red, Salma's orange, Hello yellow, forest green is an example, midnight blue, they're all the type A's, and they'd be see-through. You can spray a very, very thin layer, very, very thin layer, and it's a case of you don't put the stain. It's not like when you're cutting rings in. I've shown you the video where I came up with that technique of heating up the icing nozzles, the end of the icing nozzles, and putting that in. That requires a lot more heat, and it needs to be in the mould much, much longer to melt that layer. With the stamps, you need to heat that up quite hot. Most people are saying around about the kind of 150 to 200 degree mark, and they're holding it, and then they're just going in very, very quickly. The longer you leave it in, the more damage you're causing. So if you sprayed a type B first, you kind of wouldn't be able to back it. So the trick is that if you spray a type A colour first, you heat the stamp and it just goes in really briefly, really, really briefly. Leave it just for a moment, and then you can wipe that one out. And then when you back it with a type B, so that you then don't need to start spraying 2, 3, 4 layers, right? There's been, I get a lot of messages like, what am I doing wrong? And it's like, I go back to the person that, Paul Todd, who makes them at Made Chocolates. He's making a huge variety of these now, and he's done some amazing posts which he shared on Chocy Chat page and then shared on his own page, and he's tagged me in a lot of them. So if you go to our profile on Instagram, and if you look at the it's not there, it's the very, very end one where we've been tagged in things, you'll find those. And what he's done is a couple of videos, and he's shown you like the times, and the ones that are neater and crisper are the ones where the stamp's gone in the mould for the least amount of time. I mean, literally like second and a half. There's been, I think there are different varieties of stamps as well, in terms of quality of the silicone, and I think that's been a problem for other people, or that the height of that design when you put it into the mold. It's a real difficult one for me because I use the 539 and they're quite straight sided, so you don't, when you pull it out you end up smudging it a little bit, whereas when you've got perfect spheres or half domes, it's a lot easier, less risk of damaging it when you lift out the stamp. Get the stamp hotter and put it in there for less. That seems to have been how it's going. Gina at Surfer Led Chocolates, good morning, good evening. Thank you, Nettie. My website, if you go to the profile, you'll see a link for the website, and the links are sosassychocolate.com, and it'll take you straight there. So Made Chocolates back in Switzerland. Everybody's been away on classes, haven't they? So Chocolate by Miss Witt, hello. Much as I miss making bonbons, it's impossible now making ice cream instead. Absolutely. If the weather's not right, you adapt and you improvise, and if you're I said that I've spoken about this on many times, right? Imagine if chocolate, and again it was a post that I did today, like just imagine if it was chocolate full on all year, you'd just be absolutely broken and exhausted. I think what is nice is that we have kind of quite targeted times throughout the year where it's making money, and then that alternative time. If you're a home producer and you have the ability to make other things, and it's the macarons, it's the ice creams, it's the afternoon tea things, it's some of the patisserie things, scones, right? They will sell it with cheap, sell it with jam, sell it with clotted cream, people will come and buy it, right? Because they can't find good ones. It's all those kind of things. You've got to just change your hand a little bit for these warmer months, which isn't long. It's kind of like if you're in the UK, summer finished last Tuesday at 4:15 in the afternoon, and it'll be back next year in May, about the 3rd, for about an hour. I joke. We had a couple of weeks of lovely weather, and then it started raining. Got a love bit of British weather. I think you have to diversify, or at least have a plan of knowing that actually, every year it gets to the end of May, start of June, maybe a little bit of July. Am I going to stop and if I am going to stop, what am I going to do? And if I am going to do something different, what am I going to do? And what's the plan? And that plan should really be formulated kind of back in January time. So we've got the equipment, we've got the resources, we've got the recipes dialed in, we've got the allergen sheets, we've got all those bits and pieces, and we can start making things, videoing them, photographing, and then telling people what our plan is, rather than just reacting to it when you get to like warm weather. Like if you're home producers, a little bit more difficult for our American friends because they're limited in terms of what they can make at home. But there are people doing some great stuff from home, and you can, you know, you just got to change things up a little bit. So Nikki's just made cupcakes. Happy days. Love a bit of cupcake. I like cakes. Can I say Julie Ritchie? Hello. Have any customers ever asked about microplastics, blades going into your bonbons, say from scraping moulds or heating cocoa butter in plastic? No. No, certainly not come back to me. No. Not at all. I think, you know, there's always probably a can of worms there. Nobody has done. They come back to me, they ask me about legislation, they ask me about colours that are allowed, they ask me about particles, but like microplastics, not a conversation I've had with anybody. Thun there, Mr Max, chocolates. Had trouble finding the link to the mould grips on your profile. Go to the highlights. And if you scroll along a little bit, I think there's one on the highlights that says the grips that I use, and it's Mr Zardos, and you can buy direct from him. If you're in the US, he ships directly. I think Mark is back and forth from the US fairly regularly because of his full-time job, and when he comes back here, he ships them out anyway, right? So, and they're very light, and they're a game changer for me anyway, that's for sure. Nadia's joined us. Hello, Nadia. Did I miss some? Kerry saying, I haven't looked at your website for ages. It looks great these days. Yeah, it's all new. It's all new. Yeah, Marissa makes some really nice stamps as well. Actually, Marissa's. I remember having a conversation about it. She did say like she's going to make some. She wanted to make some with the girls' names, and I get so busy, I haven't got around to it, and I'll catch up with her again because I've done lots of classes with Marissa. Actually, she's a really lovely student. Fantastic chocolatier. I'm just scrolling back. Have I missed anything? Because it all jumped forward. Yeah, Mark posts those grips out. You do. I tell you what you do need to do. I'll get it to you. What I would do is, like, I've only got one. I've got to replace a couple in there because I banged a little bit hard and it got broken. What you do need to do when you get them, when you get the very, very back of them, you need to scratch the very, very back. Just put some. You just need something sharp, right? Just to scratch the back of it a little bit. Otherwise, if you try and put glue smooth onto the back of there, you'll find I don't scratch the surface of the mould. I just give the back of this a really good scratch, and it just gives it helps it stick into the mould, or it to rough edges will apply better. So I don't scratch the moulds. I just do the actual grits. But a lot of these, I'm going to ping these ones off, and then I've got green ones I think to go into all. I think they're green. Most of mine are blue, and then we're changing over to the green ones. So just give them all a new look because we've got other things going on, and they're all sat there waiting for me to do that. And they're going to be waiting a long time because I've got so many other things I'm doing at the minute. So just bought some grips from Marissa. I need to try them out. Yeah, if you spray a type A. You all know what I'm talking about by type A with our colours, right? So we did. It's one of the reasons that we did this. And again, like I said, it's a conversation I had with Louis and Chris. And Chris was just going to the summit, and he's like, "That's bloody genius," because I never thought that. Like, we wouldn't call them translucent or opaque. It's just that, like, that the type A, I'd spray that first, remove what I don't need with the stamp, and then I can just instantly back spray the whole thing with a different colour or another type A, and then I can back it afterwards. What you don't want to be doing is layering type Bs over and over and over, because it'll get really, really messy. It'll get really, really thick, and then your chocolate's going to have to be really warm to be able to go on and process those bonbons, right? So. The grips, I struggle with arthritis. My wrists and fingers are absolutely destroyed after years and years, so my ankles and knees and all of it, right? I think you hit 50 and it just like nosedive, don't you? I've had quite an active life, certainly life as a young soldier. It's put a lot of weight on our back and then say, go this long distance, and then when you complained about backache, it wasn't the kit we were carrying, it was you, right? Yeah, I love the way they dodged that. So, Julia Ritchie saying, I'm going to do a Dubai bonbon. How do you recommend cooking the Kanafe dough? Kanafe, fry it. Much nicer if you fry it in ghee. Melt. So what you don't want to do is put so you can fry it in butter, you can fry it in oil, you can fry it in olive oil. It's a little bit better if you do it in ghee, in my own opinion, in terms of the flavour of it. Put the ghee into a cold pan and just let it melt. Don't get it hot. Put the Kanafe in there. If you want to break it up into pieces, you can. And then raise the heat and almost keep stirring it as it's cooking. And the second you've got it brown enough, tip it out of the pan. What you don't want to do is put it into hot fat, because you'll lose control of how quickly you can stir it. Right? So it goes into a cold pan and you raise the heat up and just do it really, really slowly. Chop it down. You need to chop it down. I think it's nicer. I saw somebody blend it in a small Kenwood blender, and just don't do that. They tend to come as long. Do you know, essentially it's a batter, and they put it in a squeezy bottle. They put it in these squeezy bottles with little micro holes in it, and then they've got these huge metal plates that are slightly domed. Okay, and you see everywhere you go in the Middle East, you see them making this stuff. And sometimes it's attached to something and it's just swinging across, and it takes seconds, and when it's cooked they just scoop it all off. We've made it here at home just with a bottle, and we sprayed it, and as soon as it's cooked we lift it off. Once we've got a collection of it, we'll chop it all down and then just refry it in ghee once it's cooled down. But keep it kind of an inch long and cook it that way, and then chop it down with a knife if you can too, and it's really just rock a knife back and forth until you get it small enough. If you cut it too small or you blend it in a blender, you're going to end up with a powder, and it's not particularly nice. It's not going to hold on to the filling. Also, texture, it's really, really nice if you can keep it a little bit bigger. It doesn't pipe very easily, doesn't spread very easily, but it is a lovely flavour, right? Does that answer it, Julia? I think so. There are a few providers who are selling pre-baked Kanafe online. I wouldn't pre-bake it. I'd fry it in ghee myself, and then you're just in control of the whole process. What you don't want to do is fry it in some nasty oil, and it doesn't taste nice. Ideally, you don't want it stone cold when you fold it into the pistachio. You want all of them warm, otherwise you're just going to seize the mix and it will never ever pipe. Same process I talked about. If you're making coconut ganache is a perfect example. You make a lovely ganache and you've got toasted coconut, and if the toasted coconut's cold, when you put it into the ganache it seizes and then it's not pipeable. What you want to do is warm up that filling. We do the same thing with fouleting. We're just going to raise the temperature of it so that I don't get that shock when it goes in, and you'll find that things pipe a little bit easier. So generally Kanafe dough is frozen. It's you find the little Middle Eastern stores, we call them halal shops. You'll find it because it's just a staple, and there are different varieties of it. There are different thicknesses of it. The ones I come across in the Middle East, they are so fine. I mean, they're literally thinner than vermicelli. They are really, really fine, but they're much, much crispier, and it doesn't take much effort to break them all down, right? making sea salt turtles. Kelly's joined us. Kelly Wessel's joined us. Kelly's had her goddaughter in that. Kelly, has your granddaughter just been like doing work for you, or is it like she was learning? It looked like you were putting her to some real hard work, Kelly. Truly. Hope she got paid. She did a lot of work. A lot of work. I did. I get much time to do anything these days. I seem to run out of time. I'm going to tell you right now, over the next few weeks, I think over the next 10 days, I'm not sure I'm going to be blending anything. We are moving facilities from tomorrow. So there's a lot of equipment to move here, there, and everywhere, and a lot of scaling up to do, and there's just a lot happening for us as well at the minute with hands-on classes and other bits and pieces going on. So I'm not sure I'm going to be making any colours over the next. So kind of you can see it's a little bit bare at the minute. Some's gone to one factory, some's gone to another space. Once we get sorted out, I don't obviously get much time. I tried my hardest this week I wanted to do some videos. I wanted to paint the electric blue and then the neon red next to each other. That's as far as I got. I piped some lines because I'm going to do some designs with that one. I did that one because that's another post, but that's absolutely as far as I got. Don't often use that mould because it doesn't fit in packaging, but we got other bits and pieces. And then I did some stamps, so I've done a little video of how I do these little stamps, but I'll show you how shiny those are. I leave that one there. I might just do a video of that. No, I'll do the very nice and shiny. Everybody wave. They're little stamps because I'm going to do a little video for that as well. And then I literally painted that one, and that's as far as I got. That's as far as chocolatiering got for me this week. Just a lot going on. I just seem to run out of time. I just don't have enough time. I'm not complaining because we're really, really busy, but my expectation is it would just kind of tail off a little bit. And then what's happened is we swapped Northern Hemisphere for Southern Hemisphere. So nice, was never in the business plan, but yeah, we've literally swapped. It's too warm here to make chocolate, and then the Southern Hemisphere is like, oh, it's cooled down, we'll make chocolate now, right? So wow, Kelly, that's good, isn't it? So she came for the weekend to learn with me. She made over 500 pieces. It was just too much fun, so we didn't stop. She was paid in chocolate. Best payment ever, isn't it, chocolate? I've got little helpers here that I play. I pay them in chocolate. Well, no, I don't pay them in chocolate. They do stuff for me and then they take chocolate. Kind of the same thing in my mind. So yeah, it's quite a challenge juggling everything and trying to do some of the things that I need to do and do posts and social media posts and running the business and other bits and pieces going on. So it's next couple of weeks we are moving facility. So the one factory's closing, we're moving into another one, a little bit more space for us. And then anybody that's on the subscriber page will have seen the other thing that we're working on. Talking of which, the subscribers, I shared the chocolate marquise. And I shared the history behind that, and I'm sure there's some people here that are subscribers. I did a write-up of I have this really interesting historic recipes. And I'll talk about historic recipes. I'm particularly interested in the 1600s that go up to the 1800s, 1890s, certainly turn of the 19th century. Because a lot of foods, we look at Victorians, a lot of the food innovation happened then. When you look at sugars, you look at hard candies, jellies, a lot of the confiture work, a lot of the viennoiserie type, patisserie, lamination, all that kind of thing. The Victorians had this, whether it's Victorian, British Victorians or European Victorians, they had this real quest to understand science. So the research and all those other little bits and pieces. And that bit's fascinated me because I've worked in kitchens many, many years, and you see dishes or you see celebrity chefs do something, and then because I'm an avid reader and I like some of the historic things, and I was also in a very, very fortunate position where I could I'd access the Royal Archive, so I could look at historic recipes, historic menus, stuff that was written on scraps of paper. You know, there was stuff that belonged to Antoine Carême, you know, which goes probably the first ever royal chef with pedigree, right? And you get to read all these things, and I see chefs post these things like smoked chocolate is an example. Smoked chocolate trending a little bit at the minute. I can find stuff that goes back to the 1700s where they would toast things or burn things, or you look at the use of spices. I kept seeing this recurring thing about cinnamon, and how here's a fantastic tip. We get cinnamon pieces, and the recipe says to put the cinnamon pieces in the cream and bring it to the boil, let it steep. Okay, that makes sense. If you've got a blowtorch, or you've got a gas stove, just scorch that cinnamon for a little bit and warm it up. And when you blow out the smoke on it, and then put that into the cream and infuse it, and you will find that you have a cinnamon flavour you can't even imagine. We go back to Victorian times, and it was always char the cinnamon bark before you used it, and I just think it's a whole fascinating world. When I look at that recipe that I shared, the Marquise, goes back to about I think 1640, 1690, and they had chocolate then, but it was kind of rudimentary, and it was very rough, it was very bitter, it didn't have sugar added to it, but they were using it in desserts. They didn't have sugar as we know it today, because they had something called jaggery, but they would use lots of honey. But they would whisk eggs and honey and create a sabayon. And a sabayon is if you took eggs and sugar and you whisked it over boiling water, it would froth up, it would make it safe, it creates its volume. It's either edible as it is like that, or it can be used in other preparations, as the French would call panade. So I was explaining all this with the post, but it's one of those recipes that the girl said, could I make that? And I haven't made that for, it must be 10, 12 years since I made that. And it instantly came back to me because I'd made it over and over and over again. Because we'd set it in silicone moulds. We would quenelle it and then dip it in chocolate, or do little scoops of it, or do little round balls of it and dip that in chocolate and do that as a petit four. We'd pipe it on things like as a proper ganache. Just so versatile. But because it's not diluted down too much, it's just got if you use a really, really nice dark chocolate, it carries it all the way through. And I think the honey and the eggs just make it absolutely amazing, rather than putting raw refined cane sugar in it, right? So that's there for the subscribers. And it's not so much a recipe, it's a technique. Read the technique over and over a couple of times, and you'll understand what's happening with it. And then you've got not a preparation that we can use in chocolate work, but you've got it's not a chocolate mousse because it's quite dense, but it's very, very clean, and it's a little bit light, but it's not like a solid, it's not like a solid chocolate terrine, but it could be. It's kind of in between. But it's just fascinating to me. I think if you read that one, you'll see at the end where it came from, and the lady that made me make it over and over and over again, because the original recipe was take melted chocolate, take the cream of a cow, whisk it till it's soft, take the honey and beat it with cane. Beat it with a cane, so a cane was a whisk, so they were just the fondles tied together with string, over a copper bowl with water that's not yet boiled, and it was just, there's no temperature ranges. Whisk the eggs over the hot water, or cane the eggs over the hot water until you see vapor rise. And I had to translate this thing that was written on a bit of music paper, ancient music paper, and it's like, oh right, okay, so it's Marquis chocolate. I get excited by that stuff. So, which cocoa butter would be the closest colour to cream? Taupe. Taupe is like a real soft milk chocolate colour. Where are you? Tell me I haven't got taupe here. There it is, right behind me. I don't know if you'll be able to see this one. I don't think I've got one in the melter. That looks quite dark there, that one. See all those funny shapes that are in the middle there? That is, that's the type 6 crystals that form after the type 5 crystals, and it continues to crystallise. and then it erupts in the middle, and it looks a little bit like that. Closest to cream is probably the taupe, which I describe as a very light milk chocolate, right? Very, very light milk chocolate colour. It's the closest I've got to cream. We do bespoke colours, and we do lots of bespoke colours for companies, but the minimum is 8 kilos. I can't do any less than 8 kilos because I'd have to break all the machine down, and I can't just put like, you know, a kilo, 2 kilos into the machines. It just wouldn't. The minimum I can do is 8 kilos, right? Oh, that's a good idea. Thinking of going on. Mo's thinking of going on a beekeeping course and getting a hive when I move. Fascinating area that. There's a guy near us which we go down and visit, and we get the honey from. We get the raw honey, so it's got the bits and all sorts of stuff in it. Totally unfiltered, but it's the good stuff, right? And then some of the honey we get in the Middle East is like, it's a fascinating area, that beekeeping, although lots of people don't have great success with it. I was disappointed to see how many bees die per day, and it's like, you know, this hive's got like 10,000, but tomorrow there'll be 8,000. Like, what? Yeah, I think, yeah, that would be worth posting. Dr. Mara saying, does anybody sell jam, and does it go well? I think good jams will always sell. I think good jams will always sell. Particularly if they know the maker, right? I don't think you can sell it generic, but local jams will always sell because it's amazing fruit, picked in season, made by somebody that cares, and I think they will always sell. You just got to find your market where you put it, right? Might be one of those things that sells more locally than it does kind of online, but if you've got amazing fruits in season, go for it. Pâte de fruit is a posh word for a jam, right? Mo, you've got to share that information. You got to share, if you do go and get a hive, yeah, you've got to share that. Chocy Chat will be hugely interested in that. I'm absolutely for definite. So, well, there you go. Do you know what, Mo? If you've been thinking about it for a long time, like if you're thinking about it, you should go on and do it. I truly think that, like, as human beings, if you dream about doing something, you have an absolute obligation and responsibility to yourself to go and make that happen, right? So many, I'd much rather regret having done something than not having tried it at all, right? And I don't know if that's been my life's mantra. I know the chat I had with Louis, and it was, you know, I don't think I'd end up working with the Royals, and on day one I was like, how did I get here? This was never in the plan. Somebody had mentioned it, it's like, oh, I'm going to have a go at that, I'll see how it goes, and it turns out it went all right. Went more than all right, went absolutely amazingly, and it's the steepest learning curve I've ever had. Forced me to go and explore that whole world of food, and Mo, you know, I'd say one thing, like, if you're thinking about it, you should go and do it, because how do you know if you don't try, right? How do you know if you don't try? I say this to chocolatiers. The question came up about the Dubai bar. Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? Do it. It's not for me. It's not something I'm going to produce. You know, I know the people at Fix Desserts, so it's not something I'm going to do. But like, I recognise that people are making a huge amount of money, and it's a massive selling point. So yes, you should make it if it's a trending thing. Just don't get too carried. I don't think you need to go and buy all hundreds and hundreds of molds. You just need to test the water and grow with that. But, you know, if you're interested in making, I think Annabelle's Patisserie, she's got a hive, hasn't she? Annabelle's Patisserie's got a hive, or had one, because I think the cats are always attacking it. But give it a go. I think, like I said, I think if you have a desire or a dream to do something, I think you have an absolute obligation to yourself to go and make that happen. And also, you know, I worked for a chef. I worked for a chef in the 90s who, that was his thing. So you have an obligation to make it happen for yourself. And if your dream doesn't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough, right? I don't know if some people have this built-in instinct of it might not work, right? What if it does work? We tell boys, don't climb a tree, you could fall out. What if you climb a tree and it's really successful and you don't fall out and actually you go on to be an amazing mountaineer? What if it did go well? The focus is that mindset, isn't it? That well, I'm going to do it, and I could probably borrow the equipment, or there'll be a club where I can go and get a taste or a tester of what it is that I want to do. So many chocolatiers started at home with a mould and a bowl and a spatula and went, oh, I need to try and work this out with some help, and they're acing it. So Mo, the pressure is on. Yeah, I think, yeah, Annabelle, I'm sure Annabelle, yeah, it is Annabelle. Annabelle had some hives, I'm definitely. We need bees. We need bees. We need bees. If you want flowers, if you want things to pollinate, we need bees. We need more of them, because too many, nobody's keeping hives. I think if you went back 100 years, they were dotted all over the landscape, and now they're not. So we need more. Certainly in places that are nearer to cities, we need more and more and more of them, right? It's a good thing. I think when bees dies off, mankind dies off, right? Plus, you'll have beautiful flowers all over your garden, Mo. I think people like local honey. I think people will try and buy local honey. We do have a local honey on the island. It's very, very sweet, and I know what I'm looking at, and I'm not going to accuse them of putting sugar in it, but I think they're fed on sugar water, so we get a very runny honey. And when you turn the glass, you can see the veins of the liquid that runs down, or the legs on the liquid as it runs down, which makes me think that it's just they're not pollinating much. They are using sugar water. They're not blending the honey with sugar water, but the bees are living on honey water, right? So, and it's very, 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 very sweet, right? And I don't think the island, because we're so close to the sea, I don't think there's a huge abundance of flowers, right? So lots of people put in honey. Honey is also, going back to that recipe with the chocolate marquise, we do the honey with the eggs, and honey is a natural inverted sugar. So when you've got inverted sugar in a recipe, if you can and you think it's appropriate, I'd swap the inverted sugar out for honey, and it tastes nicer. And it's not as sweet as inverted sugar. So it has exactly the same. So it's anti-crystal. It will retain moisture. So it's got all the properties of inverted sugar. But I think honey's a nicer version. You can swap inverted sugar and honey like for like, either way. Why am I the king? I don't know. No, I'm just a chef. I'm just enjoying what I'm doing. I'm really truly enjoying everything I'm doing right now. I wish I had a bit more time to do chocolate. I'm not going to lie. I need to make that. That certainly needs to be a principle. And once we move, I think I need to put space aside for myself to be creative, because it's just all work. Or I'm teaching other people how to be creative. Maybe need to just step back a little bit and do some of my own thing, right? I do. I need to. I give so many other people advice with business classes and all the rest of it. And it's not necessarily need to follow my own advice. Actually, what I need to do is do the things that I know that I enjoy, because it gives me a new lease of life to continue sharing all the stuff that I love doing. Right? Chicken and egg, I'm not chicken. I'm not an egg. But if you got questions, fire them over. I've had 45 minutes already. What was I going to show you? There wasn't anything else I was going to show you this week. We've done the grips. I showed you my poor effort of those. Should we get another one? Should we see if they're really shiny? Can everybody see their? I put 2 sticks in. I do them at an angle, and I'll tell you what I do with that stick. That's a question I get asked a lot. You can put lollipop sticks in if you temper your chocolate, and I put it in a piping bag. When you put those have got little sticks in, but it's not 2 separate sticks, because all I'm going to do is I'm going to bend that one, okay, and I'm going to leave it so it's joined, and it will go in like that, okay. and it creates a bridge. Lollipop sticks are nice, but the problem is it ends up pulling out when you're trying to do a stamp. Whereas that's been the most, it's probably cheaper than a lollipop stick, and it's been the most secure. Just don't break them into two halves if you can. Leave them together. If they do come apart, what happens is you've got two things that come straight out. So Deborah's saying, I'm going to have my very first stall at our local village arts festival in a few weeks. That's scary. Go for it. You'll enjoy it. What it is about being a chocolatier, I meet people, I see people on the island, with the girls are in classes and things that we go, and people go, what do you do? And it's like, oh, I'm a chocolatier. And people are like, oh, really? And they've got, like, they're preloaded with a million questions for you. Everybody here knows what I'm talking about, right? As soon as you say I'm a chocolatier, people are like, really? Here's 1,000 questions that I've always wanted to know, and it starts with, like, do you like chocolate? Do you eat much chocolate? Do you? And it's kind of like, no, I'm in business in chocolate, so I try not to eat everything that I make. But when you do the markets, and I think, Deborah, everybody will testify here, markets are, like, if you're afraid to face the public, if you're scared of, lay your stall out, make sure it's really presentable. You will get people that will come and talk to you. Nobody's going to walk past and ignore it. It's not going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. It shouldn't be scary. Go with the products that you've got. It's hard to tell you how much to take, how much not to take. Go with what you've got, and your aim is to sell out, right? Also, make things that people want to buy. So don't do too many weird, wacky flavors. You're going to get the questions that, are they edible? Because, you know, they're nice and shiny bonbons. People are like, are they edible? Are they marbles? What are they? Is it food? It says chocolate. What are those? Trust me, we've all seen those questions. Everybody's had those questions, right? See if you can identify the difference between who's talking and who's buying, because everybody here that does markets will tell you that after you've done a few markets, you pick up this sixth sense of being able to see who's chatting and who's buying, right? And that's a wonderful skill to have. I wish you the best. It's really, yes, it can be a bit scary, bit of trepidation. Go there, set up your stall. I guarantee once one or two come over and have a look, 3 or 4, and then there will be a huddle around your stall. Share your story on your page, take videos, do photos, show us in Chocy Chat what you're doing. And there's lots and lots of people here that started in doing local village fete, little school, church things, and then went to bigger markets, and then set up at home, and now they're just like, you know, the markets and things is a distant memory, right? So enjoy it. Don't be scared. It's going to be all right. Chocolate sells, right? Just make sure that you're not in a space in direct sunlight in a window, right? And they've got the air conditioning on. The subscriber, if you go, the subscriber, Deborah, let me know how you get on, right? Deb Davies, because I'll be really interested. But please share your story, because it's, you know, everybody here is, I guarantee, everybody in Chocy Chat will be rooting for you, right? Go ahead, make some money, get the first market done, and then, you know, you're down the rabbit hole, right? And you're going on find another market and another market. Maybe not this time of year, but like you can line yourself up. So the subscribe, if you go to my profile, you can find the subscribe page. You can go in there. So Leanne saying, please point out that the excellent video you made with Thermapen new members, it's a masterclass in itself, and I'm sure the knowledge will come in handy for many. I did the video with, I shared the story a while ago. There's a couple of brands that I work with, and it's pro-quo, right? So I don't charge them, they don't charge me. One is this company, Thermapen, and the other one is Easy Temper. I will always champion the virtues of Easy Temper. I make zero money off promoting it, and I make zero money off promoting Thermapen. They are just fantastic. So Thermapen said, do you want to do another video on tempering? And I said, yes, but can you do a video so that I can share it to my page and my YouTube and also bolt it onto my website? And they were like, yeah, do you know what? Why don't you just come over and we'll film it for you, or edit it for you, and we'll send it back over. And it's an absolute perfect example of a company that supports another little company, because they are huge. Their turnover a year. I tour the factory, I see the R&D guys over there. everybody that's involved in the marketing sales team, super friendly, family business, just really helpful. So I did that video, and it was tempering with seed, and it is aimed at beginners. All right, it's absolutely aimed at beginners. So there's some temperature variations in terms of, I say you can melt the cocoa butter to 35. Yes, you can, if you can control that temperature. To be honest though, with my testing, if you've got one of these, if you try to melt that to 34, it's almost impossible. You'd be reaching the 41 degree mark if you wanted to get that whole bottle melted in a microwave, right? You're going to have to get it quite warm, in which case we've melted all those beta crystals, and then we tip it into there. So it's aimed at beginners, so that they can kind of better understand what's going on. And we made the video, I was there a few hours, not much more than that. We used their facility, I turned up, there's a whole crowd in front of me watching what was happening, including the owner, and it's just like, oh, I wasn't supposed to go like this. But we did the tempering by seed, and then we did the cocoa butter one as well, which I just think we're going to stitch that onto the website. I made that so people can just be better informed, right? Vicky's saying, hi everyone, I'm making your pipeable marshmallow recipe. Is it possible to add flavours, and if so, when do you add flavours? You can add flavours, you can add flavoured oils, but you just can't add too much. I would add the flavourings in, the flavoured oils. You're not going to be able to put juice or any other bits and pieces in there. They'll take colours, marshmallows, quite easily, but you'd have to start with a puree and boil that up, and it starts to get complicated. If you get the flavoured oils, you can just put a couple in when you start whisking it up, right? Yeah, Kerry, the questions are, do you know, are they edible? Are they edible? They look like marbles. How do you get them shiny? No chocolatier wants to be after. Somebody asks you that in the market. How do you get them shiny? Well, have you got a couple of days and I'll explain to you, right? It takes an incredible amount of skill and dedication and temperature control and purchase of equipment, and understanding the shine isn't one thing. The shine is 25 to 30 things done all in the right order. Okay, and if you do them all in the right order, you'll get things that are super shiny, right? Like glass. That one isn't. You should try that one. That one hasn't retracted there. Super shiny. It's a hard one to answer that, isn't it? How do you get them shiny? I'm not telling you. It's a secret that's taken me many years, right? What do I do once I take the chocolate out of the mould with the toothpick? So we will pull the milk toothpicks out. But that chocolate, I've only done, like for all the moulds that I've done, I've only done 9, and they're not full, right? They're kind of not even 6 grams each. They're not even 6 grams each. It will be wastage. By the time I've pressed those into 30 moulds, they won't really be usable. So I will commit those to file number 13, which is also known as the bin. Yeah, Amara saying couple of samples. You can find moulds that are the 7 grams. We do that. We've got the smaller versions of what we do, and like I literally pipe in 3 grams of caramel. I don't know if it's a good thing to give too much freebies away in when it's a like a little fate type thing. Otherwise, people will just come in, gobble it all up, and then not buy anything. So. Yeah, it's a yeah. The ones that I put, the ones that got toothpicks in, yeah, they'll be committed to. They'll be, you know, by the time I've used those in all the moulds, I'm gonna look a little bit rough. It's probably not chocolate. I'll have handled it. It's covered in different colours, chocolate, cocoa butter, all sorts of things. So, but it's only 9. I don't need to do the whole mould. 9 of those will get me around kind of 30, 40 moulds. So, not a problem at all. What do you use the chocolates with the toothpick for, like stamps? Yeah, I'm going to do a post on that very shortly, if I ever get around to it. There are some things on my page for that. So, really good friend of mine, Christian Dante. he showed everybody this design quite a few years ago, and he never gets credit for it. And he's an incredible technical mind when it comes to chocolate and patisserie. I mean, just, you'll see some of the things that he's answered on the Chocy Chat page. Christian, he's based in Germany, but like absolute scientific whiz when it comes to like the technical side of chocolate, all the rest of it. He shared this one quite a few years ago. Nobody ever gives him credit, which I think is yeah, disappointing. But if I, with those stamps, if I put chocolate, melted tempered chocolate into there, and I press down on it, I'll end up with an imprint, a bit like, you know, kind of looks like veins. I can do the same thing with coloured cocoa butters, and then the one that I'm going to show everybody is where we would layer a type A and then behind it a type C, so that, but we're going to spray it with cocoa butter first so that it looks like it's see-through. So I'm going to show everybody. That. It's quite a cool little technique. It's a long-winded technique, but it is worth doing if you wanted some showpieces, right? Did I just see Mr. Charles? I did see. Robert, how are you, mate? Exo Chocolates. Right in the centre of London. He's based in Wimbledon, but he's also got a shop, I think, up near Regent Street, right? And it's very, very, very nice. Very, very swanky. Creative Confections, you're welcome. I think stamps, look, like you can make your own stamps. There are negative stamps. There's all sorts of things that you can do. I did... well, my plan with this one is, whereas that say, what I was going to do is pipe other lines along it and then do a stamp so that we had those veins running lengthways. So we got to see. It's time, isn't it? You can do the same thing in that kind of mould as well, right? So you can pour the chocolate in, put the sticks in, and then pipe a bead. If you get really, really nice dark chocolate or white chocolate, you can stamp that, and it's just a nice, different design, right? I like kind of organic-y feeling designs. I'm not a big fan when everything is all lined up like a machine. Not my style. I like an organic look to stuff, though. Robert's saying, indeed, sorry it's been away. It's all right, mate. You're a busy boy like me. Just you know the stuff I go through, Robert. Another order coming in this weekend. Your happy days. I did say to everybody, I'm not going to be making colours for, I think it's probably about 10 days while we get this move done, and there's other things happening. So, and I'm in and out of the business as well. So, because I've got classes to do at other places. So, I've got to get in my car and go somewhere 3 times. So, the stock that we got is the stock that we got. There isn't, I know it looks a little bit bare up, but it's not. There is enough stuff going on. There's more than enough stuff going on. And this isn't all the stock, because there's even more on this shelf over there. That one's bent in the middle now, so I need to take that down and get a hammer on it. Chocolate, Sylvia, I am really good. I saw you were up in, you were in Sweden, weren't you, on a class with Kelly? How was that? I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was successful and you learned tons. Forest Road Chocolates, hello. Right, it's that time. It's 9:30. It's not. Is it 9? Yeah, it's 9:30, and I'm sweating. It's so warm in here. My thing's saying 27 degrees. So it's going to be one of those nights, isn't it? I'm going to have to turn the AC on. What was I going to say? We're in for orders. I will try and get some posts done this week. Something fun, something nice to watch. Hello, Salma. Salma's going to come and say hello. Come on, quick. Say hello, Chocy Chat crew.
Hi, Chocy Chat crew.
You can't see, can you?
No.
We're going to go and eat chocolate biscuits. I mean, we're going to go and watch a movie.
Might do both.
Can I show everybody my absolute guilty pleasure? Open on the top? No. Can I show everybody my go-to? I'm going to lose so much street credibility now. That and Ribena. And I'm a happy boy for life. Put those in there, they're counted. They are.
We'll see about that.
We'll see. I'll see everybody next week. Have an absolutely amazing week. Sophia So Sassy.
Hello.
Tunnets caramels. Duplicate that in a bonbon. You're going to win every single time, right? Absolutely, you'll win me anyway. I'm easily bought. Bottle of Ribena.
You
I'm
love
everybody,
tonics,
so,
caramels, and Ribena. That's the two things that you love.
what more is there to life? Have an amazing week, everybody. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next week.
Have a lovely rest
Ciao,
of
ciao.
Bye.